All right, lace up those golf shoes, everybody. Today, we're diving into something that could seriously up your golf game. Golf swing archetypes.
Yeah, it's about ditching that one-size-fits-all approach to the golf swing.
You're saying my swing shouldn't look like Rory
If your
McIlroy's?
body's not built for it, then no.
Yeah.
We're taking a deep dive into a YouTube webinar by Terry Rawls. He's a real innovator in golf biomechanics.
And he uses this really intriguing phrase, calls it the Rosetta Stone of the golf swing. What's so groundbreaking about it?
It all starts with, believe it or not, a simple arm folding assessment.
Wait, hold on. Just by how my arms naturally want to fold.
You unlock this blueprint, your golfing archetype. It dictates how your entire swing should flow.
Okay, so no more trying to copy Tiger Woods' swing if my body's telling me to do something different.
You got it. It's about recognizing those inherent tendencies and working with them, not against them. Rawls has identified three main categories of arm movement: under, on top, and hybrid.
Okay, I'm picturing it now. But what does that actually look like in, a real swing?
Think about a player like Ricky Fowler.
Yeah. Huh?
He naturally swings on top, with those elbows positioned more in front of his body throughout the swing.
Okay, I see it.
Then you've got someone like Jon Rahm, whose swing is more under, with his trail elbow tucking in close.
It's true. Their swings are so different. It's like Fowler's almost scooping under the ball, and Rahm's is this powerful rotation.
You see it. And those differences, they come from how their arms naturally fold.
So both ways can work.
Absolutely. Both styles can be incredibly effective, but you have to understand how to work with what you've got.
So how does knowing if I'm an under or an on top actually translate to me hitting the ball better?
Well, it affects everything. Your setup, your hand path, how much you sway during the swing.
Okay, so let's break that down, starting with setup.
Let's take on-top golfers like Fowler. They tend to stand closer to the ball
Makes sense.
with a lower handle position, almost like their hands are wrapping over the club.
And someone like Rahm, who's more under.
They need a little more space because their hands are rotating under, right? So they'll stand further away with a higher handle.
I'm starting to see it.
And these differences, they become even more obvious when we talk about sway gap.
Sway gap, what's that?
It's the space between your chest and pelvis during your swing.
Seems kind of subtle. Is that like a pro thing?
Not at all. Key concept for any golfer. How much you sway, and when you sway, it's directly related to your archetype.
So an under golfer with their more upright posture, arms moving out away from their body, more sway.
Wider sway gap than an on-top golfer, absolutely. Their chest is moving further from the target at the top of their swing.
And that's bad.
It's not about good or bad, it's about understanding how your sway gap changes throughout the swing.
It's more dynamic than that.
Right. One of Rawls's tracker truths is that elite players, both their chest and pelvis, actually move towards the target as they transition into the downswing. It's about a powerful, dynamic movement.
Not just how much you sway, but how that sway changes.
And where a lot of amateur golfers get it wrong is they increase their sway gap too early.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of that upper body moving dynamically towards the target, they start hanging back. And that leads to all sorts of inconsistencies.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for disaster if you want to hit the ball consistently, right? And with any kind of power.
Exactly. It's just one example of how understanding your archetype can help you identify and correct those swing flaws you might not even realize you have.
Okay, so we've got these three main archetypes, under, on top, and hybrid. Are most people going to fit neatly into one category?
You're right, there's always going to be some individual variation. Even top players like Brooks Koepka, known for that powerful, consistent swing.
Yeah, I love Koepka.
He's got a slight mismatch in his grip, according to Rawls' analysis.
Wait, Brooks Koepka has a grip flaw. That's kind of mind-blowing.
It just shows that even at the highest level, there's always room for nuance, for individual variation. And it highlights the importance of working with a knowledgeable coach who can help you fine-tune your swing based on your unique archetype.
It's not robotic.
Absolutely not. It's about understanding the fundamental principles and then applying them in a way that maximizes your potential.
I love that. So we've talked about sway gap and how under and on top swings differ in their setup. But Rawls has also mentioned something called hand path to head path in the webinar. What's that all about?
It's another way to really visualize how your arm movement impacts the shape of your swing. Imagine a line running from your hands to the center of your chest.
Okay, I'll get it.
That's your hand path. Now picture your regular swing plane, the path your head travels along. Rawls has observed that for on-top golfers, that hand path tends to stay inside the head path throughout the swing.
So their hands are staying closer to their body throughout the swing.
You got it. But for under golfers, that hand path is going to be more vertical, often crossing over the head path at some point.
And that all comes back to those fundamental arm movements we were talking about earlier.
Yes, precisely. Take a look at a player like Scott Scheffler, who's an on-top golfer. His hand path is noticeably deeper, with his hands staying closer to his right armpit throughout the swing.
Okay.
Then compare that to John Rahm, who's an under golfer. Rahm's hand path is more in front of his chest, closer to his left side at times.
Wow.
These differences are directly influenced by how their trail elbows fold tucked in for Rahm, more extended for Scheffler.
It's amazing how these seemingly small details can have such a big impact on the overall swing. But I have to ask, if all of this is determined by how my arms naturally fold, does that mean my swing is basically set in stone? Can I even change it?
Yeah.
So if all of this is determined by how my arms naturally fold, does that mean my swing is like set in stone? Can I even change it?
That's the thing about this system. It's not about putting you in a box. It's about understanding those tendencies so you can work with them.
Got it.
There's always room for improvement and refinement.
So less about a complete overhaul, more about adjustments based on my, blueprint.
Exactly. And that's where a good coach can really make a difference. They can help you identify inefficient movements you might have and guide you toward a more powerful and consistent motion.
It makes sense. Even someone like Brooks Koepka with that grip issue still benefits from expert guidance. Yeah.
Exactly. It helps you identify what Rawls calls those dynamic matchups, which is basically how different elements of your swing work together.
Like what? Give me an example.
Sure, let's say you tend to hit the ball too high. Understanding your archetype might lead you to try a more closed stance.
So I'm adjusting things to work with my natural swing, not against it.
Exactly. It's about making tweaks that complement your natural movements and get that ball flight you want.
Right, ball flight. This is all about improving consistency and ball flight.
Mm-hmm.
But what about power? Can this help me hit the ball farther?
For sure. One of Raoul's key principles is degrees of freedom and sequencing in the swing. It's about using your body's natural movements to generate speed.
So less muscle, more flow.
Exactly. Understanding how your arms want to fold and rotate can unlock a much more powerful swing. And that fluidity often means more clubhead speed. And that equals more distance.
Working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I like it. We've talked a lot about the upper body, but what about the lower body? How does that all fit in?
Great question. It's a huge piece. Rawls' system also has 3 lower body patterns to go along with those upper body archetypes we talked about.
So there's a way my hips and legs are supposed to move.
Think about it. A lot of golfers develop flaws trying to force their lower body into a movement that just doesn't fit.
Okay, so 3 upper body types, 3 lower body patterns.
It gets really interesting because you combine those and you end up with 9 distinct swing archetypes.
9. Wow. Now I definitely need to figure what mine is. 9 different swing archetypes. Man, that's a lot to process. It makes you think, all those struggles on the course, maybe I've just been trying to swing like someone I'm not.
It's a common problem. You see, traditional golf instruction, it often tries to put everyone in the same box.
Right, everyone trying to have that perfect textbook swing.
But with this system, it recognizes that we're all built differently. Our swings should reflect that.
So I should be embracing my natural tendencies, not fighting them.
Exactly. And the best part is more consistent ball striking, maybe even some extra distance.
Okay, all good things. So let's say I figure out what my swing archetype is. Where do I go from there?
That's where the fun begins. You understand your natural tendencies. You can start to look at drills and techniques that work with your swing.
So it's about finding the right tools once you know what you're working with.
Exactly. Like an on-top golfer might try drills that emphasize a shallower angle of attack, while an under golfer, they might focus on rotation.
And that's where a good coach is key, right?
Absolutely. A good coach can be your guide, They'll help you understand your swing, make those adjustments that'll work for you.
It's like having a personal trainer, but for your golf swing.
Exactly. This approach, it takes the guesswork out of it. You're not just blindly following tips, you're working with your body.
It's like we're finally speaking the golf swing's language, instead of trying to make it speak ours.
And the best part is, this is just the beginning. The deeper you dive into this, work with a good instructor, you'll keep learning more.
So to everyone listening, next time you're on the range, pay attention to those instincts. What feels natural, effortless, could be the key to a better golf game.
Yeah, there's no one right way to swing a golf club. It's all about finding what works best for you.
This deep dive has been amazing. Hopefully it's got you thinking differently about your own swing. Till next time, everybody, happy swinging.